Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with the story of the most annoying door-to-door salesman ever. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Aggressive salesperson, want to come to my house later? Sure. So this was a few months ago, and it still makes me laugh. I'm a pretty shy, non-confrontational, 5'2" young woman. I also have trouble saying no to people right to their faces, which puts me in all sorts of situations like this one. A door-to-door salesman about 30 years old knocked on my door midday on Friday and wanted me to swap electricity companies. I explained that I'm happy with my company and politely said no. But he didn't accept this and asked, more like demanded, to see one of my electricity bills, and like the non-confrontational person I am, I did. It was on the TV unit behind me, which he probably saw. He explained that I would have saved XX dollars, etc., etc., the usual salesperson thing. I once again said I'm happy with my company, and he continued to go on and on. I understand that it's his job, but I've said no, and he also had a foot in my door frame. Not sure if this was a tactic or just an accident. After several times of saying no, I pulled a lie and said that I had to talk to my partner about it later. Such a person doesn't exist. He says, no, I don't, since it's only in my name on the utility bill, etc., etc. Then after another 10 minutes, he asks when he'll be home. I say, oh, late, not until about 8 p.m. I did this hoping it'd be outside his hours, which it probably was, but you know. He took his foot out of the door and said, okay, I'll be back at 8 p.m. so I can talk to both of you. He won't take no for an answer, and left. Well, I work at a bar and started work at 6 p.m., and my non-existent partner wouldn't be home either. Well, he didn't want to take no for an answer, so I didn't say anything. I went to work and my neighbor texted me later, I live in an apartment building, that someone was banging on my door and was swearing as he left. I wonder who that could have been. I didn't hear from him after that. I understand salespeople need to push, etc. to do their job, but something about this seemed over the top and a very aggressive technique. Please tell me if I'm wrong. I had fun though. Edit. I'm also only 22, however I look very young and could easily be mistaken for a 17 or 18-year-old, which I often do, which makes me even angrier for some reason. I'm also an international student. This happened in Australia, so I do have an accent and not Australian. And our second story. That time that I broke my department. Many years ago, I worked for a family-run chain of department stores. I made it plain to everyone that I was sticking it out working in crappy retail so that I could earn enough money to go back to college. So the day finally came where I scraped together enough money to enroll for a couple of classes. I told my department manager and HR the next day at work and let them know about my new availability. This exciting turn of events occurred a few weeks before the annual store-wide inventory. Every year I got picked to work on the inventory team. My college classes were scheduled to start at the same time as inventory week, during some of the same hours as the inventory shifts. I knew how stupid and last-minute the scheduling could be, so I made numerous attempts to personally make sure that the assistant store manager and store manager knew about my availability change as well, so that when they had to approve my schedule, they understood why my hours were now different and they didn't try to fix them. My assistant store manager was on the ball and was quick to follow up and recognize my change of availability. The store manager, however, was avoiding me. I stood up to her once and that made me a persona non grata with her. I kept trying to follow up with her and she kept blowing me off and avoiding me. By her conduct, I already knew that she was planning to screw me over. At that point, college was more important to me than this crappy retail job. I didn't really want to lose income, but I was prepared to walk. At that time, I worked in a department with a very specialized set of knowledge and skills. There were at most 3 people in the whole store who could actually man that department, and one person was out on medical leave. So, as expected, the schedules were released the afternoon the day before the inventory, and yeah, my schedule didn't reflect my new availability. I hauled butt to the offices to see if the assistant store manager or store manager could fix my schedule. The wagons were circled now. The assistant store manager seemed to have a case of amnesia and didn't acknowledge that I'd mentioned the availability change weeks ago. The store manager, as expected, made it out to be my fault that I didn't get her approval for my change of availability. So my store manager obviously figured that if she ignored my request that I'd make college go away and stick with this job that was so obviously my desired career in life. Okie dokie. I let her think that she was winning and worked the first day of inventory. I didn't have classes that day. I came in the next day and worked inventory until the first rest break. All the inventory workers took a break at the same time. Then I put my resignation notice in my department manager's mailbox. She was scheduled for a late shift and wasn't in yet. Cleared out my locker and walked off the job so that I could get to class. When I got out of class a few hours later, all hell had apparently broken loose at the store. There were a couple of frantic voicemails on my cell phone from my department manager. She was the only person who could run the department in my absence since the other worker was out on medical leave. But the store manager kept department managers so busy with administrative tasks that kept them from working in their own departments that my department manager had no one to run the department after inventory week was over since I walked out. She'd gotten my resignation note, had the private flip out in the stockroom, and made a beeline for the offices to let them know how screwed her department now was. She flat out told the store manager that I couldn't be allowed to quit. A later message from her instructed me to expect a call from HR offering to rehire me. I was perversely amused. I liked my department manager and felt bad about quitting on her, but knowing that the store manager was showing herself to be a proven idiot made my day. I went to my next class. After that class ended a few hours later, there was a voicemail from HR offering to rehire me. I called back. The store manager was having her revenge on me now. HR offered to rehire me, but part-time and in a different department. So obviously she was having revenge on my old department manager as well. I was fine with part-time if they bothered to recognize my availability change that I submitted a few weeks previously. I'd asked for reduced hours. Plus the new job was in a department I'd worked in before. I accepted the offer and immediately began looking for a better job. I knew that the store manager was going to find new and exciting ways to torment me the longer that I stayed. And our next story. Cousin of a friend, Bridezilla. My friend received a formal invitation to her cousin's wedding 5 months prior to the party. The bride mentioned a dress code of pastels and attached this gifts you can chip in for list to it. So far, so normal. After her positive RSVP, she received another message from the bride, this time a group chat to which she posted links for men and women where to buy pastel-toned dresses and suits. She provided 5 to 7 varieties of suits and dresses and expected people to sort out among them so that it'd be a nice mix. Not everyone the same. Mind you, the suits were 150 euros, dresses starting at 180. My friend, as well as other family members, were taken aback by this. They thought it was clearly a nice to have, not a must to turn up in exactly those dresses, and the discussion began. Bridezilla was not happy and put her foot down. This is her perfect dream wedding, and anyone who tried to ruin it would have to take it up with her personally. So discussion splintered off into private chats. My friend tried to reason with her cousin. As a student, she could barely afford the trip and stay, a hotel quite out of town, travel. The guests were expected to pay for a 2-day stay, which is a bit, 300 euros plus travel expenses, but the bride was not having any of it and ignored her messages after a bit. We're at 500 euros plus in expenses. My friend and her cousin used to be close, but this behavior, I told her quite frankly, it's crap. Made her reconsider if she wanted to attend or even could afford to. Meanwhile, the groom got wind from what was going on among the guests. The mother of the bride wrote a very angry message into the guest group along the lines of, "How dare you make my baby sad? This is her very special day, and you should all try to make her happy. Just buy the damn clothes. Groom has been sleeping at a friend's place, and they've been constantly fighting because you guys didn't want to commit." I think the groom realized what unreasonable demands she put on the guests and got worried everyone would be angry at them on their special day or something. Other guests were now also considering dropping out of the wedding. That's when the bride came back. I don't know what she smokes, and sent out another message via letter this time. "Dear guests, despite the recent unrest, groom and I are looking forward to celebrate this special day with you. I must stress that we already ordered the food after your positive RSVP, and at 90 euros a person, if you wish to not attend, we'll be forced to forward the portion costs for your food to you." That was when people started dropping out. The bride tried to talk to my friend again, trying to guilt trip her into coming to the wedding. She realized that the clothes was something she would not be able to force from her guests and put into the group message that people could show up however they wanted. but she would love it if they tried to adhere to the pastel theme, or just buy the clothes. Then she added they'd be looking forward to the wedding gifts and a monetary donation of at least 300 euros per person. I don't know how you can write this in a classy way. I just saw it came in print on some fancy paper. My friend asked if she was serious and why the "at least." Turns out the bride was hoping to finance her dream wedding on the backs of her friends and family and scrape together money for a house the newlyweds wanted to buy. We're at 900 euros expenses for someone else's wedding. My friend told her she was not attending. This was 2 months before the wedding. From what I heard, the number of actually attending guests dwindled to very close family of about 40 people and a very angry mother of the bride going around harassing and berating the other guests who dropped out. A month after the wedding, my friend received another letter in pretty paper. "Dear cousin, I was sad to hear that you could not attend my wedding. I'm holding a brunch for those who couldn't make it. I'm looking forward to your bridal gift. The address is at so-and-so." This is the story of my friend's Bridezilla cousin. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.